All right, welcome back, captains, to Starfleet Academy Online. I'm your host, Hale Bosey, and today we're going to be talking about fleets versus armadas. Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm so glad to have you here with us today because we're going to talk about something that I think a lot of people ask, especially initially when they're first playing the game, is, what is a fleet versus what is an armada, and why should I even bother with getting involved in those? And I think those are good questions. And so to kind of start it off, first of all, you should know that playing with a fleet is it's not 100% required in the game, but it certainly does have a lot of benefits that you should be aware of. So let's access our fleet information if you're already a part of a fleet. If not, you can get invited to a fleet or you can ask to be invited to a fleet. But generally speaking, if you're not in a fleet, just run around Earth Space Dock for a little while. Somebody will invite you, I promise. So just kind of hang tight in there for one of those invites. As far as the rest of it's concerned, I'm actually, if as you can see, I'm actually right here looking at my starbase as we speak, just kind of hovering in space over here, and that's one of the holdings that my fleet has. And if you want to see what your fleet, what its status is, you can take a look at your fleet status by looking at the bottom right corner of your mini map. There's a button with like three Starfleet badges that looks like parentheses around them. Just go ahead and click on that button there, and then if you look over, it'll automatically bring you to the overview. The overview is very straightforward and simple. It just kind of tells you the name of your overall fleet, what level your fleet is, and here are the various different holdings that your fleet has, so that you can see what the status is on all of those. Maybe your fleet's pushing to get the Starbase up to Tier 5, or maybe your fleet's pushing to get the colony up to Tier 5 or something like that. And so this is a quick way to sort of see what's going on. But then we should probably go over to holdings and explain that as well. So just kind of getting you understanding, being a part of a fleet is being a part of a community, and you can have up to 500 members in any one fleet, and that's the maximum number of people that any fleet can hold. And so when you're a part of a fleet, you have holdings like these here that I'm showing you right now. These are the different holdings that you can get a hold of from Colony World to Starbase. And each of these little projects in here are just places where you can donate resources to help advance that fleet or the provisions that they might have. So that's a great way to sort of like help out your fleet if they're still developing, and they're not at max level yet. This is a great way to also earn fleet credits, which is something that you're going to want to. We're going to talk more in depth about holdings and fleet credits and stuff in future videos, but hang tight for that. So I think Lant would probably. By the way, Lant is with us today. Hi, Lant.
How's it going, guys?
And it's good to have you with us, Lant. And so I just wanted to let them know what's this events tab right here. Tell us about that.
So, certain different fleets will do unique little events for their members. Uh, so, it's definitely important to keep checking that and keep up to date if your fleet is doing any little events, because a lot of fleets do giveaways and competitions and little events that can keep that Star Trek game going along nicely.
Awesome. So yeah, just make sure you kind of check that on a regular basis because you never know what your fleet might be hosting, and you don't want to be left out of anything if there's limited space. Another thing is that we want to look at is the roster, and I think this is going to be an important thing. One, it shows you how many total people are in your fleet, and it'll list everybody out. It can tell you about your overall holdings, contributions, your status, your rank, comments that you might have for other players that you'd be playing with. So if you just want to see who's in your fleet, and like you can actually just look them up here, and that's kind of neat to be able to see who's involved, and if you want to friend somebody, you can do that. But there's also this information tab, and Lance going to help give us a little bit more information on this. So tell me a little bit about that, Lance.
Yeah, so the information tab, that's actually another important tab because it's where your fleet will usually post a description and a little bit of info about perhaps the fleet, the armada, some useful information like Discord, a website, all that kind of stuff. So if you see on Boses on the left side, most fleets have a description of the ranking system. Now, again, this isn't the same for each fleet, but most fleets have the first rank, which is done through donations to the holdings, which will unlock the fleet vendors. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, there's also stuff like Discord links, website links that can also be in the description, and there also could be descriptions like custom channels that a lot of armadas employ to combine all of their fleets and perhaps KDF fleets together. So definitely something to check out here.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel in this fleet and in this armada, and we like to try to keep our members up to date with videos. Obviously, you're here in YouTube, I guess. But in any case, just looking at this is going to be important, especially when figuring out what your rank is will let you know if you go to the settings tab what your privileges are in that fleet. So each rank will have its own set of permissions and privileges, and you can see the difference as you get higher in rank. Your privileges significantly increase, and will give you more access to things in the fleet, to be able to purchase things, to be able to, like promote somebody, to be able to invite them to a fleet holding who's not a fleetie. There's lots of things that you can be involved in, including even taking stuff out of the fleet bank that you might need, and that's something that we can go over again a little bit later, but that's a great one. But in looking at this, and even kind of neat also, by the way, as like a side note, when you go to the settings, if you look under the uniforms, you can actually set up a fleet uniform specifically for your fleet, so that everybody's on the same page if you want to get that extra role play factor involved, which is really cool. And community is all about what being a part of a fleet is. It's not just about going out there and getting stuff, it's also about having fun and playing with a group of players that are active, they're fun people, and they're not going to jump down your throat every time you do something wrong, but they generally help you progress. And that's one of the main goals of a fleet, is that community aspect, because it's always a lot more fun when you're able to play with somebody that you really enjoy playing with. And then if you're looking at the armada, though, the difference between a fleet and armada is that the fleet is just one fleet with their holdings and everything, but an armada consists of 13 different fleets. Holy smokes, that's a lot. I think that's a really cool thing. And as far as the usefulness or what the point of being a part of an armada is there's lots of bonuses, right, Lant?
Yeah, definitely a lot of bonuses. Like the thing to see here is the organization of it. You'll see that there's one primary fleet, which is called an alpha fleet. Then, if we look down, there's going to be three beta fleets, and under them, three gammas under each beta. Now, if we look at overview, we can see currently that we are getting an experience point bonus and a dilithium discount bonus. Now, obviously, those values are changing for an alpha fleet, a beta fleet, and gamma fleet. But something else to know is that your armada has a level straight over on the left hand side. Now, as this level goes up, these percentages also go up. So the more your armada levels up and the fleets within it level up, the more bonuses you're going to get. Boza?
Yeah, that's actually so important, especially when it comes to that discount. So if you want like the maximum dilithium discount, definitely you're going to want to position yourself in like a gamma fleet, because the gamma fleets tend to have, especially of a well-developed armada, have like the biggest discount when it comes to buying things from the fleet, and when it comes to actually what's required for the holdings to complete projects in a fleet, which is pretty spectacular, and that saves a lot of resources. And we've told you before that dilithium is one of the most important resources that you can have. Do not be frivolous with this. It's awesome if you want to donate to the fleets, but I would recommend sort of holding on to that as much as possible until you have that dilithium to spare. Okay, and then if you do, that's great. You can go ahead and do that. We'll teach you ways to farm dilithium later so that you will have the ability to help out your fleets a little bit more. But this is definitely a major thing. And when it comes to being a part of an armada, our armada, you can notice here is the AFC, and we have actually two separate armadas that we put together under one AFC umbrella, which is a lot to manage. I'm one of the armada leaders here, and in doing so, we're dealing with a lot of members. You can see that here we have 3,900 or almost 4,000 members. In the other armada, it's well above 5,000. So you can see that we have quite a bit to work with, and it's just a lot of people. So it can be a lot of fun. It can make it a lot more active for you as far as the community and the reach, and it makes it easier to develop a fleet individually if you're part of an armada who maybe like you're somebody who's already at max level in your fleet. And so if you're at max level, well, then now you can help out your other friends that are building their fleets, and this is one great way to do it. So armadas are definitely a great way to enjoy the game and go a little bit further in depth. Anything else that we want to add about that, Lant?
Yeah, just one point I would say is when you join a fleet, you don't necessarily know how much level that fleet is going to have.
Hmm.
So, say for example, you want a console from the Spire,
Hmm.
but say your fleet doesn't have a Spire Tier 3, which is
Oh yeah.
required for that console. Now, the great thing about the Armada is that you can go to holdings and actually look at the different holdings of the other fleets contained within the Armada. Now, a side bonus of this is say your fleet has all of the projects filled and you still want some fleet credits to buy something. You can also use this to donate to another fleet, which will give you credits, but be aware these credits don't count towards your fleet. So it won't count towards a rank up if you're trying to get that.
Oh, that's an
It will
excellent
just
point.
it will just give you the fleet credits. But going back to what I was saying before, you can check the tiers of those holdings and say you need Aspire Tier 3 and another fleet has Aspire Tier 3. Then you can contact one of the members through the roster tab and try and arrange a map invite so that you can get that console you need. Rosie?
That's a great tip, Lan. Thanks for bringing that in. See, there are so many different facets and ways to think about this stuff that it's hard to even explain half the time. But I think that pretty much covers it, at least for the initial overview on fleets and armadas. We're gonna go ahead and break down a lot of the things in our following videos here so that we can really expand on your knowledge here and take advantage of some special items and things that are only and ships, by the way, that are only available if you're part of a fleet. So definitely think about joining if you haven't done so already. I hope you've enjoyed the content today. I hope it was helpful for you. If you did find the content useful, please give us a hail Bozy by giving us that like, hitting that like button, or if you can just, if you want to subscribe to the channel for more epic content. If there's anything in here about fleets and armadas that you wanted to just mention, please feel free to put that in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. So remember, boldly go.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you.